tennis instructor. You're watching Ground Strokes. Next, I'm going to show you how to hit a proper backhand. So the first thing we should look at when hitting a backhand is learning how to grip the racket, because you're going to use a different grip for the backhand than you use for the forehand. So let's look at it. To grip the racket on a backhand, just hold the racket in front of you and place your hand right on top so that your wrist is straight. So you don't want this, because see, now it's bent. You don't want that, because it's bent. Here, place it on top and your wrist is straight. Or you can put the racket underneath your arm, do the same thing. Just grip it while keeping your wrist straight. That's your backhand grip. Now, you say, what if I have a two-handed backhand? You're still going to grip it this way, but for a two-hander, you're going to put the other hand right here so that the hands are slightly touching. You don't want to gap, and you also don't want to overlap like this. Just be right here, just slightly touching. If you look at it from this angle, you'll see how my V is over on the, way over on the left edge. And for a two-hander, it comes right over on top, slightly touching. So now we know how to grip the racket for a backhand. Let's move on. Now we're in our ready position. We're waiting for the ball to be hit from our opponent. Racket is in front, I'm on the balls of my feet, and I'm ready to move to the right or the left, whichever way the ball comes. Racket up. Would rather see the racket up than down, because then when the ball comes, you have to raise your racket and then turn into the shot either way. It takes too much time. So have your racket up. Now, stances. You're either going to use for the backhand a neutral stance or an open stance. Let's go over the neutral stance if you're using a one-handed backhand. You're going to pivot and step into the court. Pivot and step in. Now if it's an open stance, you might use this if you don't have enough time. The ball's arriving too quickly for you. Pivot and swing with this foot open. Pivot, swing, swing. Let's look at the two-hander. We're in our ready position. Pivot, neutral, swinging out. Pivot, neutral, stepping out. Now for an open. Pivot, stepping out. Pivot, stepping out to the side. That's your stances and your preparation. So now we're ready to prepare. So I'm going to show you how to prepare for a two-handed backhand first. Okay, first, as we see the ball is going to be a backhand, first thing is we pivot and we turn our shoulders. Pivot and turn your shoulders. Think of it more as turning your shoulders rather than pivoting and taking your racket back. So it's more like pivot and turn your shoulders. That's it. And then I'm going to show you the neutral stance, stepping out. Pivot, turn your shoulders, step out. I'd like you to be in this position by the time the ball bounces on your side of the net. So the ball is hit, we see it traveling across the net, we turn, and we step. Now for a one-hander, you're going to use your offhand to hold the racket up at the throat. You're going to pivot and turn your shoulders. Again, it's turning your shoulders, it's not taking the racket back. Pivot, turn your shoulders, and you're ready to step. Pivot, turn your shoulders, and you're ready to step. And that's how you prepare.